File item number 9. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 374 by Senator Steinberg, enacting the firearms.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is the bill that affirms California's 25-year ban on rapid-fire assault weapons. It closes the loopholes that have arisen over the course of the past quarter century that have allowed these guns to be manufactured and sold despite the prohibition. The Assembly amendments actually narrowed the bill to remove rimfire weapons from the purview of the bill itself. I ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion on SB 374. Senator Berryhill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise in opposition of this bill. You know, if you throw this bill in with 10 or 15 other bills that have gone across this floor over the last couple of weeks, and the sound you're going to hear is criminals laughing all over this country because these bills have done nothing but help criminals and have done nothing but hurt law-abiding citizens. You know, folks, if our goal in here is to drive firearm and ammo sales, we've done a hell of a job. One of the most popular deer hunting rifles in the country would be banned under this proposal, as I understand it. According to the California State Sheriff's Association, this bill would have absolutely no effect on the ability of criminals to obtain firearms. What this measure does do is ban the sale of many common sporting hunting rifles. Rifles used by law-abiding citizens for a completely legal activity. You know, year after year, this legislature passionately fights to protect the civil rights of numerous groups, including prison inmates, cyclists, abortion clinics, and the LGBT community, just to name a few. What about the civil rights of law-abiding sportsmen and hunters? Clearly, we are not afforded the same consideration that you are. This is an unwarranted attack on hunters in this state and will do absolutely nothing to deter crime. I urge you to reject this anti-hunting bill.
Thank you, Senator Berryhill. Senator Wright, followed by Senator Nielsen and Senator Anderson.
You know, I rise in opposition again to this bill. I mean, I mentioned earlier when it came up earlier in the year that I actually should vote for it because it is so blatantly unconstitutional that this would actually break this discussion about what is and what is not. You know, the court decisions make clear that if there's a gun that is in fact popular in the archives of what people use, that it should be available to the public. You know, one of the guns that is listed in this ban would be the most popular long gun sold not only in California, but the most popular long gun in the United States. This bill would seek to ban that gun. The reason that you have complications, and as people like to say, loopholes, is that when you get into the details, particularly with people who know something about guns, you find out that it's not as easy as it is to just say this is an assault weapon. Even if you go back to the Roberti Roos ban, for example, one of the things that they had to go back and take out was the Ruger Mini 14. The Ruger Mini 14 looks exactly like an AR-15, except it ain't, except it does fire the same bullet and it does have the same firing mechanism. To people who don't know the difference in guns, they all look alike. And you say, well, this is an assault weapon. One of the other things that I think that's important to realize is that so-called assault weapons account for less than 1% of the gun deaths in the country. So this isn't about protecting anybody because it's a small fraction. One of the things that does come up, though, is just like if there's a plane crash. Plane crashes are tragic whenever they happen. So if someone goes into a theater and shoots people, you go, oh my God. The problem is that that doesn't happen very often, and every time it does, it happens to be glamorized, and you see it a lot on television. But it's not a common occurrence. It's not something where you can say, wow, this happens every day. Again, fewer than 1% of the people who are killed with guns in the United States are killed with a gun that would be covered by this. That's why the Sheriff's Association has come out against it. One of the things that they point out in California is that you have over 8 million people who own a type of gun that would be banned. They could potentially become felons as a part of this bill for not following something that they had no idea was going to be a part of the law or that they violated the law. In some cases, this gun may have been owned by someone for 20 years, and that person doesn't know that he or she had to take an action. So again, there's so many things I think that are wrong with it. But again, as Senator Berryhill said, what we're looking at is that people who don't hunt, people who don't own guns, people who don't shoot, don't see any reason why anybody else should. I don't think that that's a reason for banning something that takes place in this country, and it's something that people enjoy. So there are a number of people. The reason in the case of the Roberti Roos law that the Ruger Mini 14 and several other guns came off is that there were a number of people in that case, the CCPOA and a number of other law enforcement agencies said, whoa, you just outlawed the gun that we use. So here you're making a generalized ban on something without any data that supports the fact that this is a gun that's causing the problems that you have. So here I would ask for a no vote. But again, if it passes, I'm good, because this will be a good one to tee up at a court because it is so blatantly unconstitutional. It'll take about 20 minutes for this to be thrown out. And what it will also do that I'm happy about is that we'll be back in a year having to try to make a redefinition, because once you make a total ban, then it throws out most of the other laws that many people have written that were unclear. I'd ask for a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Wright. Senator Nielsen, followed by Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, as we wind down our session, it's time to wind down the assault. Not assault weapons, but the assault on the legitimate right of the citizens of the state of California and of America to own firearms. And that's what we have been dealing with all year, an outright assault on the law-abiding. The law-abiding firearm owners in California. Tonight is the time to put a stop to this assault. I urge a no vote. Millions of firearms now would be required to be registered. Hundreds of thousands of Californians who maybe not even know a rifle passed down in generations in a safe somewhere they don't even know about, but now they're going to be criminalized because they didn't register that weapon. This almost borders on a bit of insanity. It does not protect the public. It does not get guns away from the criminals. It certainly does an awful lot about getting guns away from the law-abiding. Let's stop that assault on the law-abiding citizens who want to own firearms. I urge a no vote.
Senator Anderson.
You never know how the ripple effect of our bills and laws go. It was interesting, in the time that the bill left and came back, I started receiving letters from companies in San Diego. See, San Diego, because it's a Navy port and also has a high presence of Marines at the Miramar Marine Corps base, we do a lot of training. We do a lot of training of special forces, and there are private companies that offer this training to our military, and they do it on private property. And they use these weapons to train our troops before they deploy. And this bill will shut down their businesses and not allow them to use real weapons to train our people so they don't lose their lives. So they are the elite of all the world's military. They also train law enforcement, people from all, because to have a range that you can train with special tactics isn't that common. People from all over California come to San Diego to train if they're in law enforcement. You know, we may think that we're saving lives by passing this, but what we're truly doing is endangering law enforcement and the military's lives who train at these bases. I urge a no vote.
Further debate or discussion on this measure? Further debate or discussion on SB 374? Seeing none, Senator Steinberg, you may close.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate and respect the arguments of those who oppose the bill, but every public opinion poll will tell you that the public does not support your point of view. In fact, the public supports a very clear differentiation between legitimate gun ownership for sport, for hunting, and even for self-defense, and they don't support the manufacture and proliferation of these kinds of guns. 90% of the mass murderers who use these assault weapons had no prior criminal record when they in fact used them for the first time. Do law-abiding citizens need guns that can shoot 50 or 100 or 150 or 200 rounds at one time? Do law-abiding citizens need detachable long rifles with detachable magazines that allow you to fire and refire? This is common sense to make a clear distinction and differentiation between the kinds of weapons. And in terms of the Constitution, I as an old constitutional lawyer myself, have read a case or two. And I cite none other than Justice Scalia, a great friend and defender of the Second Amendment, in the seminal gun case of Heller back in 2008. He said it very clearly as they upheld or threw out the Washington, D.C. handgun ban. Handguns, by the way, that can shoot 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 bullets. Justice Scalia said you can't ban those, but here's what he said. Although we do not undertake an exhaustive historical analysis of the full scope of the Second Amendment, nothing in our opinion should be taken to cast doubt on laws imposing conditions and qualifications on the commercial sale of arms. Common sense. I urge an aye vote.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Anderson? No. Bell? Berryhill? No. Block? Aye. Calderon? Canella? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. De Leon? DeSaulnier? Aye. Emerson? No. Evans? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? No. Galgiani? Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hill? Aye. Hueso? Huff? No. Jackson? Aye. Knight? No. Leno? Aye. Latta? Aye. Tedlew? Aye. Carolou? Aye. Monning? Aye. Nielsen? No. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Roth? No. Pavley? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Torres? Aye. Vidak? No. Walters? No. Wolk? Aye. Wright? No. Wyland? No. Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Bell? Calderon? Aye. De Leon? Galgiani? Hueso? Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Bell? De Leon? Aye. Galgiani? Hueso? Yee. Yee, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 15. Assembly amendments are concurred in.